At 6, the 12 News I-Team investigation into test scores found that all major school districts in Maricopa County struggle with kids who are reading or doing math at grade level.
Tonight, the I-Team's Erica Stapleton is looking at what the state and school leaders are doing about these low scores and whether they matter in the long run.
If there was an equation for a good education,
our state championships in the last 8 years,
Dr. Curtis Finch, superintendent of the Deer Valley Unified School District, has an answer.
Culture eats everything else for breakfast.
But statewide, test scores raise some flags. The I-Team examined 4th and 8th grade math and ELA test score data for public and charter schools in Arizona, unable to check private schools who don't report to the state. We found that of all large school districts in Maricopa County, the majority of students did not pass the tests at grade level in at least one of those categories. The I-Team also looked at scores before COVID and after, finding that from 2018 to 2024, a majority of the large districts trended down in proficiency for the math and reading categories.
Are you concerned with the levels that students are at right now?
No. I think what confuses parents is the word proficient. These tests are not proficiency tests. They are sold that way. They're really progress tests because the final destination is graduation.
He likens it to driving.
If you are getting ready to take your driver's test at 16 and they don't know how to parallel park, does that mean they do not know how to drive? The answer is no. It's just they haven't learned how to parallel park yet.
In 2024, Deer Valley Unified School District actually had higher 4th and 8th grade proficiency rates than similar sized districts, even if some students weren't testing at grade level. And when you look at that final destination, the graduation rate district-wide in 2024 was just above 95%. Across the valley, Andy sees kids coming into high school at different speeds.
When it comes to reading, I see students that excel and students that maybe aren't doing as well as we would hope.
And that can cause some roadblocks.
Because if they're behind, it is definitely very difficult to catch up.
He's a parent and public school teacher in the East Valley and asked we not use his last name. He said he's seen a focus on boosting test scores in his district.
For me, it's, okay, here's where our students are at, so how can we move forward and help the kids?
And for him, the equation is parents plus teachers equals student success.
When I get those emails from teachers saying, you know what, your student's doing great, might be struggling here, here's how I can help, here's maybe what you can do at home. When we have that communication piece, that incredibly positive communication piece, our kids will perform better in school.
For State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tom Horn,
where do you want to see proficiency levels at?
Well, a lot higher than they are now.
Test scores take up almost the entire equation.
That's my number one goal.
Why do they matter to you?
Students have to be able to read and comprehend what they're reading. They have to do math problems. And if they can't, they won't be able to get jobs and they'll be on welfare. I think that's pretty important.
His plan, sending coaching teams from the Department of Education to lower performing schools to help boost scores.
We did an experiment in this school,
starting with Wilson Elementary School District. The small Phoenix school system recently celebrated a 6% increase in 5th grade ELA scores and a 25% increase in 5th grade math under the program.
A tremendous achievement.
But the state currently doesn't have resources to do this in every school that needs it. Back in Deer Valley,
I'm very confident in public schools.
Craig Beckman has a 5th grader and 1st grader in the Deer Valley Unified School District. And he's also an admin for the DVUSD Parents Facebook group.
We get a lot of questions about school safety. We get some stuff about bullying, social emotional wellness. We don't see a lot on test scores.
Why do you think that is?
We understand that they don't always have a good test-taking day. To spend a month on teaching just to the test, personally, I don't find that very effective in my child's education.
He also flags factors like changes to tests, changes to the population, and access to necessities.
Increased poverty, food insecurity, all those things impact test taking. So it is a cause for concern to see test scores drop, but we really have to look at the why. Is it our public schools that are failing, or is it our society that is failing our students?
And Troy Caribe, that program at the Wilson Elementary School District, that was the first time the Department of Education tried something like that, bringing teaching coaches in. They said if they get funding, they may consider doing it again, but there are also other training opportunities for teachers. But then again, not everyone says teachers are the problem here.
Yeah, I mean, as the mom of 2 kids in public school, this story really hit home for me because, I saw changes in my kids after COVID, and math is just taught differently now. I mean, a lot of it's on an iPad, and it's not the way that we were taught, and so it's concerning as a parent for sure.
It is, and the folks that we spoke to for this story and then the one we aired last night, we got those parents from a survey that we put out. So we asked people, why do you think these scores are low? And we heard a lot of different responses, COVID being one of them, screen time, different behavioral changes in classrooms. But we also heard from some people saying, like, my kids are doing fine. So it really just highlights a gap in learning experiences that students are facing, and then it does create some challenges as they continue
all
on through
schools?
classes.
Are they charter schools, just public schools?
So the data that we have, and of course we have records from the state when it comes to public and charter schools. We decided for these stories to focus in on the largest districts in Maricopa County just to kind of narrow that focus, but those are public records. So the state is well aware of how each public and charter school is performing if they do submit those scores. The challenge is also we can't really compare these to private schools because private schools are not required to report to the state with test scores or even take the state standardized tests. So that again, there's a bit of a, we called it the elephant in the classroom, that we can't really compare those things because we know ESAs are also a big conversation now, those school vouchers, that some students are leaving the public school districts to go to private schools. So it's really all part of the big conversation here.
Well, I mean, I guess it's a start to at least be talking about it and trying to identify what the causes are.
And that's what we heard too. Yeah, there was people who said, at least you're putting this out there. Thank you for reaching out. And yeah, certainly we'll be continuing the conversation.
All right, Erica, thank you for that.
Thanks, Erica.